Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and try to isolate an aspect of the race that might be key to finding the winner. Well, Saturday racing in Hong Kong this week, and the first race we're going to take a look at is race 8, where our winning factor is the trial. So this is a Class 2, 1200 metres, and once you get past the Group 1 stars, these are some of the best sprinters in Hong Kong. So it's a race of plenty of quality. Heading the prospects, we have 2 John Size trained horses, Wunderbar, still the only horse to beat Ka Ying Rising, and Raging Blizzard, who was in such brilliant form mid-season. I think there'll be fans for the last start winners like Bottom Up Together and Call Me Glorious, and there may even be some fans for the Tony Cruz trained pair, Gustosissimo and Son Pak Fu. So certainly not a race where it's a pushover for any of the runners, but I think the key to the outcome here is what happens with the John Size pair. Wunderbar, who's had a run in May, but before that he was out for a number of months, and Raging Blizzard, who we haven't seen since late February. But for our reference point between this pair, I want to take you back even earlier than that to early January, and at that time Raging Blizzard was in great form, but he wasn't the favourite in this particular race. That was Wunderbar. He was odds on, and Raging Blizzard took care of him pretty comfortably. So this is race 324, gate 2, Wunderbar, blue with yellow cap, begins well. Raging Blizzard in also blue colours with yellow and black striped sleeves in gate 5. Well, he isn't the best away and goes straight to the rear, but the pace here is strong, as you see on the heat map. And despite that, Wunderbar still wants to go faster, something we have seen from him before. So this sets up beautifully for something to swoop in the stretch. The leaders are stopping. Hugh Bowman brings Raging Blizzard up the inside, finishing powerfully, and he asserts himself as the best of the finishers. Now after that, Raging Blizzard had a couple more races where he was beaten but had good excuses at both times. But I suspect something went wrong in his preparation not long after that, because he was missing from the track work throughout March, and we're only seeing him return now. He does have a good record when fresh. Now, last season he commenced 133 days off before winning, and at the start of this season he'd had 7 months off before he went close to winning first up. So he is a horse whose statistics point to him being good fresh. But I think we can do better than that, because last Monday there was a trial at Chung Fa with both Wunderbar and Raging Blizzard engaged. So let's take a look at how they shaped up. So this is June 9, batch 1 at the trials at Chung Fa, and only a field of 5, Wunderbar in barrier 3. Away they go, and Wunderbar straight to the lead in that blue colour, and in blue with yellow and black sleeves out wider is Raging Blizzard. Now, it's only a fairly moderately run trial for most of it, so both travel quite well, but there's a point I want to highlight about 300 metres from the finish, where the rider of Wunderbar does ask him to pick up, and Raging Blizzard has no trouble staying with him without any urging at all. Down to the line, there isn't a lot between them as they fight it out. And I think what we saw there was that Raging Blizzard, who we haven't seen for almost 4 months at the races, did have the better of his stablemate, who also hasn't had a lot of racing lately, but he did have a race last month, so he should have had some kind of fitness edge. And Raging Blizzard certainly the one to take away from that trial. I also think he gets plenty of pluses on the map. I think the tempo looks at least average here, potential to be even faster, and certainly potential to be busy in the early stages on the lead, which is where we're going to find Wunderbar. So he'll have to deal with that. While Raging Blizzard, he'll be sitting back off the speed horses, perhaps midfield, perhaps a little worse, and coming again with that big finishing sprint that we've seen he possesses. So the tip from me in race 8, Raging Blizzard, his winning factor, the trial. I think if everybody turned up in their best form here, that Raging Blizzard, despite the big weight, would be the horse to beat. on his brilliant form mid-season, and I think we saw in that barrier trial that he is returning in very good form. The other race I'm looking at for Saturday's meeting is race 11, and our winning factor here, the map. So this is Class 3, 1400 metres, and I think there will be cases made for horses like Silvery Breeze, Armour War Eagle, Endeared, Victory Sky and Master of All. But I think the clear favourite will be Patch of Stars for Zac Purton and trainer Manfred Mann. And for me, this race certainly revolves around Patch of Stars. Not only how he manages to cope with the class rise after winning 2 on end in Class 4, but whether he'll get the right opportunity to be able to reproduce that form. First of all, let's take a look at what he's bringing into the race. This is race 663. He's in gate 1, yellow, blue and white colours, and jumps okay, but Zac Purton is in no hurry. He comfortably holds a fairly handy spot behind the leaders here, but the heat map shows us why. There isn't a lot of pace in the first half of this. A Patch of Stars has the tactical ability to take advantage of that and putting himself in shooting range, but put a pin in that for later. He stalks the front runners to the home turn where the sprint is really on. He's held up momentarily, but when he gets clear, he shoots away with a brilliant turn of acceleration and Purton eases him down near the post. Now that was Class 4. He's now in Class 3 and regulars will know that is something I look for. But crucially, we need to see a situation where a horse who wins like that gets the right opportunity to do it again. And I think there are great similarities between the race we saw there and the one that he'll run in on Saturday. When we look at the map, there is not a lot of speed in this race either. Whether the races run at even and average speed is very much in the hands of the jockeys on Master of All and Beauty Glory, very likely to be the first 2 in running, but without much pressure coming from outside them. So it's hardly in their own interests to go too fast in front, and that gives Patch of Stars a chance again to sit fairly handy, trailing the speed and positioning himself to launch that finishing sprint. Meanwhile, some of those I mentioned earlier as dangers, horses like Silvery Breeze, Victory Sky, Armour War Eagle, and even to a lesser extent Endeared, do have some problems on the map with their draws, and they're going to have to work out those problems even to be in a position to show their best. So the tip from me in race 11, Patch of Stars. His winning factor, the map. Yes, he's a nice young horse on the rise, but crucially for Saturday's race, he's also in a spot where he's going to get the chance to show us what he's made of once again, while some of his major rivals have obstacles. Well, that's it from the winning factor this week. Good luck on Saturday. We'll see you next time.